So hey everyone, as always, welcome to the channel. My name is Rich Charpentier. I'm the channel host. And 9 times out of 10, when you come to this channel, you're going to learn something about drones and building your drone business, and also some photography and some videography. I'm doing a really quick video here today. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving, and while I'm trying not to spend the whole day working, I thought it'd be fun to do a quick little video for you on aligning images from your drone for time-lapse still images. So one of the big things that we do here is construction progression drone flights, where we're flying regular flight paths that we've created with something like Litchi or Ground Station Pro, or multiple other applications for creating reusable flight paths for things like construction projects. So I've had questions on channel from folks before, and also on my Patreon channel. How do you align your images from flight to flight? So I've got an image from a flight in January of 2020, and then I've got a second image from almost the same exact location from just a couple weeks ago here. So here in November of 2020. So these two images are definitely shot at different times. So image number 1, this is for a horse ranch property, so we can see the trees and a house out in the background. And then I'm going to arrow over to image number 2, which was shot, let me see, November 15th. Okay. By the way, we're in Lightroom if you didn't realize that. So Lightroom is one of my main tools for organizing all of my still images for my drone work and other work. So this particular client project is building out a whole new horse ranch at their home. And as you can see, once again, nothing going on here right now. Way off in the distance, we do see one backhoe sitting out there. But mostly this is all treed in, and that's January. And then here we come to November of 2020, and we can see a lot. We've got fencing in here. Some of the trees have been removed. More construction's going on. Now we have a nice big barn in the distance for the horses. So a lot has changed between January and November, and there were some delays in this project as well. But if you don't notice, so pay close attention when I hit my arrow key here, these images aren't perfectly aligned. So, oh no, what have I done wrong? Here's the deal. For these images, this is a Litchi flight, so I'm using the application Litchi. On that application, I pre-programmed our flight course way back in January of 2020, and we've reflown that course over and over again. Now, the drone is supposed to follow that course perfectly, right? Well, let's keep in mind that sometimes there are other circumstances going on. Maybe the GPS signal is not spot on. Maybe it's also got a little more deviation than the last flight. Maybe there's some wind going on that's pushing the drone around. Or maybe the drone gimbal, in my case, is doing a little slight adjustment as it gets to each waypoint. It seems that my gimbal is now sliding a little bit. So this can really screw you up, right? You don't have these images perfectly aligned, and you're trying to give still image time lapses to your clients, and now things aren't lining up perfectly. Does this mean you scrap the whole project and you tell them you can't do the job because something weird's going on with the drone? Of course not. What you can do instead, actually, let's just pull that one up one more time. Let's go full screen. So there we go. Now we're full screen and we're looking at the image. So first one with no construction having happened yet. And then the second one, let's go ahead and arrow over, and you can see a slight shift, just a slight shift. We've got the truck down here now. That gate is not aligned to where the first gate location was. So I'm hitting the arrow key again, and we're just waiting for it to catch up here. Come on, show me the next one. There we go. So you can tell it is slightly off, maybe by just a couple of degrees, but it's enough where it's not going to be a smooth transition from one to the other. So what happens there? What can we do? Well, I'm highlighting both images, and actually I'm just going to hit the G key here, and I'm just making sure both images are highlighted, okay? They're not perfectly aligned, so I'm going to right click in here, and I'm going to go into Edit In, and I'm going to open as layers in Photoshop. So I've been having patrons ask about this, and other people on channel asking about this. I know I did a video about this last year, somewhere lost in my YouTube series of videos, so I thought I'd take a little bit of time today and just have a little fun with you guys and show you how easy this is. Now, I know that a lot of folks on channel are not Photoshop users. Maybe you're using Affinity, maybe you're using some other tools to manage and edit your photos. I am actually using Photoshop and Photoshop Lightroom. So those are two of my primary tools. So that's just what I'm using. You can do layers work in a lot of other applications out there. So there might be a way for you to do this nice and quickly. So we are now in Photoshop and I open this as layers. So over on the right-hand side, you see that we've got two different layers. We've got Untitled, and then we've got the McRae 118. All right, I'm gonna turn off the top layer, and there's the bottom layer. So now you're seeing the difference between these two. So you can definitely see we're off by a couple degrees. And so this is definitely imperfect. It would go okay in a slideshow, you know, in a pinch. I think a little fade through transition, and it probably won't bother many people other than you and I, because we know that there's a small problem with this. If I highlight these two images, oh, by the way, so turning the view on and off, you can see that slight deviation. What we're going to do is have both layers turned on. We're only seeing the top layer. We're not seeing the bottom layer right now because it's hidden by the top layer. One of the most powerful features of Photoshop, by the way, is layers and all the tools that you can do with layers. So if you'd like to see more about Photoshop for drone pilots, let me know. Drop a note down in the comments below and we can do some more of these types of videos. These videos are also being featured over on my Teachable channel at az-drone at Teachable, and we're building up an inventory of other classes as well. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and highlight both of these. They are highlighted, and this is going to be a real quick, easy fix. I'm going to go up to Edit here. I'm going to go down to Auto Align Layers, and because both of these images were RAW files and not JPEGs, it's going to let me do this. If you try to align two JPEGs in the same fashion, it's not going to work out for you. Photoshop won't give you the option to align those layers. So you got to be doing this with DNGs, RAW files. I'm going to hit OK for that auto align. And now we can see a little bit has shifted here. Actually, let's zoom back out. You can see the borders down here on the bottom that there's been some shifting and some changing also along the sides. So I'm going to need to crop this a little bit. And that is okay. Now, what I want to take a look at, so we've got the top layer and the bottom layer. I'm going to turn off that top layer and look at that. Talk about perfectly aligning these now. So now we've got both images very well aligned. Let's zoom in here. And let's just go take a look at that gate, for instance. So we've got both the top and the bottom visible right now. I'm going to turn that top layer off. Look at that. So we've got that new wall in there. We've got my truck in there. That gate is perfectly lined up. Even out in the background here, we've got a very, very nice alignment. So this is looking great by me. I'm going to zoom this back out. Now, normally what I do for my clients is we will do a slideshow showing the before and after, so that time lapse over time. So this is the before and after from January to November of 2020. To get this worked out a little nicer, we can see that it's cutting the edges over here on the left-hand side as well. So we need to make a determination about our crop. Now, since this is a 3:2 aspect ratio image, I'm going to actually set this up. Let's see, before I do my crop, actually let's go up and take a look at image size. So we've got this very large size at the moment. I'm going to cancel here, and I'm going to go over to that crop tool really quick. So I know with a 3:2 aspect ratio that 1500 by 1000 pixels at 72 dpi is going to do it. I also know that I'm going to have to crop in here a good little bit because of this edge right here is the problem. So let's drag this out here. So we've definitely had some alignment issues for sure. We've got a lot of room here. So it was more than a couple degrees that were problematic on that last flight. And I've got to figure out what's going on with my gimbal. But let's move this down just to actually, yeah, I'm satisfied with that there. Let's see. I'm not going to go all the way in because we have to have those edges. And I am now going to hit return on that cropped area. Let's zoom this in now. So now this looks like just your standard image, and let's change that. We've got a really good alignment, so Photoshop did a fantastic alignment. There are other ways to align manually as well. You can put two layers together, and you can actually go through and use Photoshop's free transform tool to align things a little better, because we sure did crop a lot out of this. So we took this image in a little bit, but it is doing the job that it needs to. The client wants to see the major changes that have gone on, so showcase that for them. So even though we had to crop in a little bit, I think we're still displaying very nicely those major changes to the property between January, there you go, January 2020, and November of 2020. So if you'd like to see a follow-up video on this, maybe with the same images, using those two layers and doing the free transform tool, go ahead and leave a note down in the comments below. And if I get enough people interested in it, we'll come back and do another short one. But in the meantime, here's the quick and dirty way where we can align two drone photos that should have been shooting exactly the same area. And because of some gimbal issues, we were off a little bit, but we weren't off so far that we couldn't align those afterward post-processing in Lightroom. Well, I hope you learned something with this one, and I hope you found it informative and useful. So go take a couple different time-lapse photos over a few days and come back and see about your alignment on them, and see about using Photoshop to align them really quickly for your time-lapse imaging for your clients as well.